My husband became convinced he was part of a secret TV show, suspected I was making hidden phone calls about him, and then threatened to choke me in front of our children. So I had him arrested. So my husband started acting real strange a while back. He got in his head that he's the star of some hidden TV show, like cameras are following him everywhere. He's convinced I'm sneaking off to make phone calls about him, whispering secrets behind his back. Things got so bad one day, he looked me dead in the eye and said he'd choke me, right there in front of our little kids. I couldn't take that. I called the cops, and they hauled him off. I'm 30, he's 35, and for the last couple months, his head's been all over the place. It's gotten worse, too. He keeps bringing up stuff he swears is going on, wild stories he's never even hinted at before. Let me give you some history on this mess. When I first noticed him acting off, I begged him to see somebody at the hospital about his mind. He finally went, but they didn't even let a doctor check him out. Some nurse or whoever just handed him a prescription for sleeping pills and sent him home. Problem is, he smokes marijuana all the time, and those pills don't play nice with that stuff. I've told him to quit, but he won't listen. We've got 2 tiny kids at home, so this whole thing's a lot to handle. Now, about the crazy stuff he's been up to lately, he's obsessed with this old email account. Says it's got details about some inheritance, but somebody hacked it, and he's desperate to get in. I try to help him log in, but he hasn't touched that account in the 12 years we've been married. I only even knew it existed because I helped him fix his Facebook login years ago, and it was tied to that email. Then there's this other thing. He's dead sure everybody's gossiping about him. Not just me, but every single person we know. He thinks there's this huge plot cooking, something awful aimed right at him, and we're all part of it. A few times, he's grilled me about this TV show he thinks we're on, asking how much cash I'm getting paid to keep quiet. He's positive I'm ducking out to take hush-hush phone calls, then coming back all teary-eyed from whatever I talked about. None of that's real, but when I tell him it's nonsense, he loses it. Yells I'm a liar and demands the truth, saying something bad's coming if I don't fess up. It's gotten so out of hand, he lost his job over it. He stopped showing up, started driving to the police station instead, trying to file reports about who knows what. After they fired him, things got tense at his work. They were so worried he might come back and hurt somebody. They called the cops for a wellness check. The police showed up at our place while I was there. He told them he'd never hurt anyone unless it was to protect himself. Lately, he's flipped between hollering at me for answers and just shutting me out completely. Honestly, I'd rather he didn't talk to me at all right now. Here's why I'm even telling you this. Today started out fine. It was sunny and warm, so I asked if he'd take a walk with me and the kids. He said sure, but he didn't say a word to us the whole time. We passed a playground, and I thought it'd be fun to let the kids run around for a bit, so I asked him what he thought. He snapped at me, said I'm always running the show, calling me the boss of everything. I wasn't even telling him what to do. I just asked. I pointed that out, and he grumbled, "Go ahead and do whatever you want, like you always do." So, fine, I took the kids to play. He wandered off by himself. Some old balls were lying around, left by somebody, I guess, and he started tossing them. Then he grabs a football and chucks it my way. It whizzed by, maybe a couple feet from me. I asked him what the heck that was about, and he goes, "Why you mad? It didn't hit you." I said, "Yeah, but what if it had?" He shot back. "If I meant to smack you in the head, I'd have aimed it there." Then he went off, ranting about how everybody's lying to him. Same old story. After that, he plopped down in a corner of the park and just sat there, doing nothing. I'd had enough. I rounded up the kids and started heading out. I told him, "We're going home," and kept walking. He claims he shouted after us, but he ended up taking some other route back. When we ran into him near the house, he chewed me out, saying next time I decide to storm off like a fool, I should listen for him calling. I didn't hear a thing, and anyway, he could have caught up easy if he wanted. I was steaming by then. I told him I needed to clear my head, maybe drive and grab coffee. He said fine. I wanted to bring the kids, and he asked why. I said, "All right, you stay with them then." But he said, "No, take them," and started buckling them into the car. I got in a drive, and he climbed into the passenger seat. I asked if he was coming along, and he said yeah. I told him I didn't want him there, not with how mean he's been. He said he could get a lot nastier. As I pulled out, he wouldn't shut up about the same garbage he's been on about. I said I'm done listening, and he started yelling, telling me to keep driving and be quiet. I slammed on the brakes and told him to get out. He raised his fist like he was going to hit me, but instead he swung it right in front of my face and stopped. I broke down, crying, screaming at him to leave. He shouted back, "No, just drive." I said maybe I ought to take him straight to the police station. He said he'd choke me out cold before we got there. I was bawling now, told him I'm done with him, that I want him gone. He just said, no. He kept being a jerk the whole ride home. I begged him to stop treating me like this, especially with our kids right there in the back. It ain't fair to them or me. He told me not to drag them into it. I said, how can I not? They're sitting right here. We got home, and he asked how long I've been plotting to dump him and who's taking his place. I swore there's nobody else, but he doesn't buy it. Inside, he mocked me, doing this high-pitched voice, saying, I should take you to the police station. Now, he's out smoking, and I'm here with the kids, writing this. I'm a mess, and I don't know what to do next. We've only got one car, and it's got both our names on it. The house we live in belongs to my mom. We don't have a lease or nothing, but it's listed as our address on our driver's licenses. He didn't used to be this way. It's only been the last couple months he's turned into this. I miss the guy. He was the one who'd hang out with me and the kids. Now he's always off alone. I don't know if he's losing it, having some kind of breakdown, or what's setting him off. I am stumped. Is there something else I can try to help him? Every time I talk to him about what's going on, he won't take my answers, and he gets mad if I don't say anything at all. Oh, one more thing. I want to let you know we're safe now. Sorry I didn't say that sooner. All this attention's got me a little rattled, but I'll fill you in more later. Thanks for the advice and kind words you've sent. A couple quick notes. We don't live in the United States. Where we're at, marijuana's legal, and he gets it from official government stores. I don't think it's spiked with anything, though he does mix it with cigarettes. Some folks asked about meth. No chance. He doesn't go weird places or talk to strangers. Just us at home and the police station a few times. I've got his phone tracked, so I know where he's at when he's out. All right, here's what's happened since. Thanks for all the messages and support. It's been a lot, and I can't keep up with replying, but I'm grateful. After that night I wrote this, I took off from the house, but came back the next day. I needed proof of how he's been acting, because he's real good at playing it cool with cops or doctors. I've been with him at most of his hospital visits before, so I know what they told him to do. Back then, I thought they dropped the ball. Not enough help for how bad he was falling apart. Anyway, for a few days after that Sunday I posted, he barely said a word to me or the kids. Every time he came near, I hit record on my phone. Didn't catch much until Thursday, when he finally opened his mouth again. He started asking who I've been talking to about him, who's out to ruin his life. I told him nobody's doing that. Nobody said a word except what I've written here, which he doesn't know about. That set him off. He started yelling, saying if somebody's running their mouth about him, I'd better bring them to the house so he can deal with them. I tried to stay quiet, not feed into it. That just made him madder. He kept pushing me for answers, saying stuff like, man, I want to hit you, or don't make me smack you, whenever I said I didn't know what he meant or just didn't respond. I got all that recorded. When he finally stormed off, I took the kids to bed, locked our bedroom door, and tried to get some sleep. The next day rolled around, and my husband was dead set on driving me to work. I told him I wanted the car for myself, but he wasn't having it, said he needed it more. After we dropped the kids off, he started laying into me, calling me all kinds of names, stupid, dumb, you name it, all because he thinks I'm hiding some inheritance from him. It's all in his head, but he won't hear that. I try to shut it out, sliding over to the edge of the passenger seat to keep some distance. That ticked him off, and he grabbed the back of my neck, yanked me toward him, and barked at me to pay attention. I freaked out, told him to keep his eyes on the road and his hands off me. I was shook up bad. He drove me to work, still running his mouth out the open window. As I got out, I looked at him and said, man, you need help bad. As soon as I got inside, I called my boss and spilled everything. She dropped what she was doing, canceled her day, and drove me straight to the police station. We filed a report, but the first cop we talked to acted like I was the bad guy. Kept saying my husband would end up on the street if I went through with this, like he's the one I should feel sorry for. I told him me and my kids staying safe matters more, and he finally got another officer to take my statement. They told me to steer clear of the house. They were going to pick him up and would call me when he was gone. About 5 hours later, they nabbed him. Turns out he didn't fight them, and with everything I told them, they took him to a hospital instead of jail. He's locked in there now on a 30-day psych hold. He's got court coming up for making threats and getting physical, but since he's never been in trouble before, I bet he'll just get a light punishment. Right now, me and the kids are safe at home. We're changing the locks, and I'm thinking about getting a protection order. I'd rather he just gets better, though, so we don't need it. Time will tell. I appreciate all the help and words you folks have sent my way. Some of you had real smart ideas. I know I might look dumb for how I handled this, but I was just trying to figure out what would work best for us. I'll keep any new stuff posted on my profile. Now, it's been a while since I last checked in. People keep asking how I'm holding up, and I'm sorry it took me so long to say something. Here's the deal. My husband's doing way better now. He got the right care in that hospital psych ward. Gets a shot every now, and then instead of pills, and sticks to cigarettes instead of marijuana. He's acting like his old self again, talking to me and the kids like he used to before all this madness hit. He's even got a job now, and honest to God, he's a better husband than he's been in a long time. It wasn't easy trusting him again. It took a lot of time and effort to get us back to normal. I know plenty of folks thought I should have walked away for good. But listen, the guy you read about before ain't who he really is. He was caught up in some wild mental breakdown, probably from smoking too much marijuana and some rough stuff piling up. I'm going to spill too much because it'd give away where we're at, but something bad went down less than 10 years back, and it happened again right before he lost it. It was the kind of thing that kicks you out of your house for who knows how long. That's all I'll say about that. It hit him harder than I realized. Back when it first happened, I was the one falling apart, and he held me together. But once life settled down after that, he started slipping. First, he got hung up on cracking into some old email account. Then he thought cameras were watching him 24/7, like he was living in that Truman Show movie. Next thing I know, he's sure me and everybody else are plotting against him. That's when he started throwing threats around. I couldn't believe it. Never in all our years together had I seen him like that. I wasn't scared of him till those threats kept coming and getting worse. He turned it around in the hospital, though. I had some good talks with his shrink, and when they let him out, I said he could come home. It was tough without him. I was crying nonstop. The kids missed their dad something fierce, and he missed us too. He had to get fixed, and I'm glad I found a way to make it work. This is probably the last time I'll write about this. Don't think there's much more to add, but thanks again for all the support, even the folks who said I was a fool. Story 2. Here's the next one. Something I'm calling the power of attorney I didn't remember signing. While I was out of the country getting medical help, my ex sold my house, drained my bank account, and got rid of everything I own. I've been all over the place, scared out of my mind, mad as hell, then just numb inside. It's taken me a bit to put this down, so sorry if it's a little messy. Let me set the scene. I was gone for over 2 months, seeing doctors overseas for some health problems I've got. While I was away, I stashed my stuff like my computer and other valuables at a storage place that's supposed to be secure. I don't have family close by, so I didn't want my apartment sitting there with all my gear for that long. I've got renters in a house I own, and I set up an account so their payments go in automatic, like keeping my bills paid without me worrying about it. I figured everything was locked down tight so I could focus on getting better and come back to life as I left it. Way back when I was hurting bad and doped up on meds, I had a lawyer set things up so my ex could handle my affairs if I couldn't. Truth is, I forgot all about that. My head was a fog then, and I barely recall signing anything. The night before I flew out, my ex hit me with a breakup. Said my health was too much, that I was going to die, and they didn't want to stick around for it. I got some serious issues, and yeah, I might not live as long as most, but I couldn't handle that talk right then. I just said, fine, and left. We'd been together 16 months, but we never fully lived under one roof. I got back and found out my ex has been taking everything I've got, maybe selling it too. They've got papers claiming I couldn't handle my own business, backed up by that power of attorney I gave them. Thing is, I was never out of it during my treatment. No doctor I saw would have said that. While I was gone, they pulled my stuff out of storage, and I've got no clue where it's at. I'm scared it's all gone for good. They hit my apartment too, took whatever was there. My renters got told I was stuck in bed and the house had to go up for sale. They're on a month-to-month deal, so they believed it and cleared out before I got home. They let me know a realtor was showing the place. I called that realtor, explained what's up, and he panicked. Said there's already a buyer. My house got listed dirt cheap, papers are signed, and some cash has changed hands. The new folks are gearing up to move in. I told him to stop it all, that none of this was okayed by me. He said my ex's paperwork checks out, and he's got to sort out what to do. I'm still waiting to hear more. That account I set up, wiped clean down to the last cent. I missed a big payment cause of it. The bank says my ex got into it, and it was all above board since I was supposedly laid up. My ex knew about that account. I told them what it was for, and they probably snooped the details from my place. I tried talking to them and the cops. My ex won't hardly answer, but I went to their house, pounded on the door, and yelled till they said something. They claimed I was in a coma, which is a lie, and they had to sell my stuff for me. I swear I heard them mutter, "You won't need it anyway," through the door. The police ain't been much help. I tried reporting my ex for stealing my storage stuff, and they said it's a civil matter. I laid out the whole story, and they just looked lost, like they don't know what to say. Sitting at the station feels pointless. Nobody there can do a darn thing. They told me to come back tomorrow when some other officer's on duty. Word is, cops went to my ex's place and saw the papers. Tomorrow, I'm seeing a lawyer who deals with power of attorney scams and elder abuse. It's the closest fit I could find. If they can't fix this, where do I turn? Is there some magic word to get the police to lock my ex up and stop this now? I keep telling myself this will get straightened out, but man, how bad off am I? Somebody asked in the comments if I really gave that power of attorney and said I need to cancel it fast. I wrote back, yeah, I might have signed something way back when I was stuck in the hospital, letting them use my money to pay bills and stuff. I'm hoping the lawyer can kill that tomorrow. I know I sound dumb. I didn't get what I was doing then. I was hurting bad, didn't have a clear diagnosis, and thought it was smart, but half that time's a blur to me. Here's what's new since then. I was kind of nervous posting this at first, didn't want folks talking down to me. I'm a gal in my early 30s. My ex is a guy about the same age. The last few days have been nuts. I sat down with my lawyer Monday morning, and she was real good to me. She mostly handles elder abuse cases, but she said my mess fits right in her wheelhouse and seemed pumped to take it on. She was mad too. After feeling drained since Saturday, it felt good having her fired up for me. I hung out her office a while, and later my ex called. She told me not to pick up, so I didn't. We played his voicemail together. He said he sold my stuff to help me, put the money in investments for my bills, and even wants to get back together now that I'm home safe. My lawyer cracked up laughing. It was weird as heck. In just one day, she dug up dirt. Turns out my ex pulled this before. He was with somebody real sick, then bolted with their joint account cash and car right before they passed. Their family fought him in court, got the car back, but not the money. She reckons he's done this to others too, just not always caught, maybe in different states. Our whole relationship was a sham, I guess. He figured I wouldn't make it back from the doctors and got it wrong. Explains why he never worked, just lives off folks like me. Monday, my lawyer fired off letters everywhere, one to my ex included. They're all about yanking that power of attorney I gave him. The one to him demanded he cough up my cash, my stuff, and copies of all the papers he's got on me. She talked to the realtor and some others about my house. Says I might have to let the sale go through and take the money. I didn't want to hear that, but it ain't the worst thing. She got me to have my apartment locks swapped out too. Wednesday was odd. My ex showed up at her office with some of my belongings. I wasn't there, so I don't know how it went down, but I got my computer back. He handed over codes to online investments he made with my money, which ticked her off because it's going to be a pain to get it all back. She's done this before and promised to chase down as much as she can. She's also sure will sue my ex for cash, says what he did's full of holes, and that power of attorney don't hold water, but she's got to check with the hospital and a few others first. She thinks it's a big deal that his incapacitated papers come from when I was in the hospital back when I signed that thing. Bottom line, I've got my computer, but my money's tied up in investments, and it might not all come back. The house sale cash should come to me, though. My lawyer's a rock star. She's putting in tons of time, and that feels great. Just saw my doc here, and he's worried I'm too stressed after getting home, so I'm gonna try to chill out.